Near Page, Arizona, Peabody Energy has a coal mine, Cayeta Mine, near Black Mesa.
Aha, my coal mining production is doing well today. Aha.
The Navajo tribe and Black Mesa residents have been affected by Peabody's coal mining activities for many years. The health consequences include asthma, lung disease, and heart problems.
My daughter just got asthma and I had to take her to the doctor. The medical bill was off the charts and I'm only their neighbors, not even affected with the coal mining.
Ever since the coal miners came in, I've had lung problems for years, and the air quality hasn't been the same.
The residents also struggle to find sufficient drinking water because of the coal mine's use of their water.
The coal miners only gave us a limited amount of water, just barely enough to feed our livestock and to find drinkable drinking water.
Residents also don't have enough water for farming and livestock practices. Hundreds of Black Mesa residents have been forced to relocate.
They kicked us out of our homes for coal mining sites.
All of these negative consequences of the Cayeta mine have created a negative externality.
Right, so first off, externality involves a market transaction which affects a third party. The market transaction in our story is the firm, the Peabody coal producer, and the consumer, who would be, in this case actually it'll be they sell the coals to an energy plant which makes energy, but we're not going to really worry about that part for now. And then the third party, which the negative externality is affected upon, is the residents of the nearby residents, which is actually a Navajo indigenous tribe. The health concerns that results from their coal production include arsenic and dioxins, which actually causes higher medical bills and lost days of work for children, missing schools, things like that, cost of inhalers and all these medications from the nearby residents.
On our graph here, we have the supply curve, which represents our marginal private costs. These are all the costs that the producer bears within their firm. For the coal mining company of Peabody, these include costs of machinery, any other cost of inputs, wages, labor, etc. Our demand curve is also shown, which represents our marginal benefit. In this situation, there are no positive externalities, so the demand curve remains constant. To represent the negative externality on our graph, we have another curve, our marginal social costs curve, which is located right above the supply curve, for the marginal private cost curve. This curve represents our marginal social costs, which are all the costs of the externality plus all of the private costs. The area underneath the supply curve is the marginal private costs, the total marginal private costs, and the area between the marginal social costs is the total social costs, and the area which is the marginal social cost minus the marginal private cost represents the marginal external costs. These are the costs borne to the third party. Marginal external costs, that area, that small area between the two curves, are all of the negative external costs that the Navajo tribe has endured because of the production of coal by the Peabody Energy Company. So these are the costs that Peabody has, which include medical bills and costs to relocate for the Navajo tribe.
Okay, so so what's actually happening in relation to this graph of this issue is that, so to the Peabody Energy Company, the most efficient point is actually where the demand and supply curve intersects. Right here, which is how much coal they produce, and then their price. However, they're not taking into account any kind of these medical bills and anything that these third-party people that have nothing to do with the transaction of coal mining and then selling these coals to an energy producer, and things like that. So if they decide to take into account these medical bills and say relocation issues and things like that, we believe that they should be at this social cost line where the social cost and the marginal benefit line meet up, which will mean that they should produce less coal while their production price will be higher. That is the socially efficient price and quantity for Peabody Energy. For the Navajo tribes to not benefit, but I'd say alleviate their pains, I would suppose.
So an equation way to look at it would be that MTC minus MPC is equal to MEC.
MSC. So the whole concept of a negative externality is for a company to account for the cost that a third party outside of their transaction has to pay for. So Peabody Energy has this amount of externality costs that the Navajo tribe and the residents that live near the Cayeta mine are enduring, and they have to pay for those medical bills and such here. So in order for them to be at a socially efficient point of production and to profit maximize at the socially efficient point, they need to account for all those costs that the Navajo tribe is acquiring. And in order to do that, they have their marginal private costs, all of their private costs that they have in their company, and the costs that other people are taking in. And because of that, we see that their production has to decrease in order for them to reach that goal. We can see that there's overproduction in this market because of the externality cost that it's creating. So that means that Peabody coal mines are producing too much, and they're creating this external cost for the Navajo tribes, because by producing more, they're creating more toxic chemicals in the air, and they're depleting a lot more of the Navajo tribe's water, which is forcing them to relocate. So these are the things and the reasons why there's overproduction and why we need to have it. The Peabody Energy needs to decrease their production in order to be socially efficient. There has been contracts in the past to evaluate the situation, and the Navajo tribes have tried hard to make amends with the Peabody Energy and have tried to come up with certain policies that will guarantee them more water than they've had in the past, and to reduce the poor emissions that the Peabody Energy is having on the environment and on the people, the environment in which it's affecting the people especially. If we were to pursue this externality issue, we would definitely look into what the contracts have said and what the contracts could say involving the Cayeta mine and the Navajo tribe, and we would try to see if there's any way that we can lower those external costs in order to be more socially efficient. And in that sense, we could look at how much water the coal mines are using, and we could look at how much they're producing in order to see if the Navajo tribes could have less costs, less external costs because of it. We could also maybe look into seeing if the Navajo tribes could potentially move farther away from the coal mines into another location, depending on what resources they need and what's available.